Well done, well done. Looks like you had a great time in the Lancer.
I like the car.
How do you think it compares to the Mazda 3? I think you were telling me that you prefer this one?
I don't know, I'm confused. I mean, both of them, they are good buys, so I could hit the corners with the Lancer really, really fast. Yes, I know, me driving fast. Alright, moving on to another German car. I then get to drive the early 1990s Porsche Turbo, which is also known as the Widowmaker. I'm just curious, why is it called the Widowmaker anyways?
Well, this Porsche is the 964 variant, 911 Turbo 3.6. It is the last of the monstrous Porsches, rear-wheel drive, rear engine, no traction control. A lot of rich men found to their own detriment that it is not an easy beast to handle. Boom. So, we got one, modern classic, only 1,500 in the world. Let's see how we did. The Porsche 911 has never enjoyed as much publicity as it currently does today. Indeed, the current model, 997 generation Porsches, are regarded far and wide as the most usable, the best supercars you can ever buy and ever run on a day-to-day basis. And then, of course, there's the current model, 911 Turbo, which is incredibly powerful and be sheer lunacy to say that it does not make you exciting. However, for some, that is not enough. They say it lacks driver involvement. There's too much computing, too much processing, too much predictability. It's too safe. And for that, they hanker after the original 964 3.6 litre turbo. 360 horsepower, 285 kilometers an hour, 0 to 100 in 4.8 seconds, rear-wheel drive, no traction control, nothing but your driver skill. This car is an all-time favorite of mine and a personal choice for today's segment. The appeal of the Turbo 3.6 is that it is the last of the wild, challenging, oil-cooled, single turbocharged 911 turbos. This is the absolute last of the Widowmakers. This car has 520 Newton meters of torque, and the power delivery, its onslaught is absolutely ferocious. Oh, we're flying. When the turbos sing above 4,000 RPM, the acceleration just goes from brutal to stupidly beastly. To the uninitiated, it can be rather frightening. But to many, this all-or-nothing power delivery of the good old school 911 turbos is something to master and save it. Woo. This car comes with 4-port Brembo calipers, which do a fantastic job biting onto 322mm discs at the front and 299mm disc at the rear. And the steering, whoa, communication is incredibly detailed. It's mildly power assisted, but the signals received are very, very easy to interpret. The Turbo 3.6 is, frankly, quite scary to think about. Yet, I have this quirky attraction to it, to want to drive it as fast as I can. The same way that a bug is attracted to a bright light. To drive this car at 100% all the time is the ultimate challenge. Kids of the PlayStation generation go on and on and on about Skylines and GTRs and Evos, spoiled by their computers that turn them into artificial driving gods. It's like, oh look, there's a wall, let's go into it at 120 km/h. It's just ridiculous. But with the 911 Turbo, we're talking about feel, communication, and a lustful, challenging satisfaction. The Turbo 3.6 was an acclaimed success by those in the know. And yet, it was criticized for being old-fashioned and crude in comparison to some of its competitors. And in all fairness, it probably was. The replacement model, the 993 Turbo of 1996, featured 400 horsepower, was fitted with twin turbochargers, computerized engine management, and none the least four-wheel drive. Sure, it was probably a better car, but it did lack the raw edge appeal. It had tamed the beast in such a way that it was never again as exciting as a car that we had today. The 911 Turbo 3.6 is, quite simply put, the last of its kind.
Is that the same car that was in Bad Boys, the one that Will Smith drove?
Yeah, the exact same one.
Really? Oh, so do you feel like a bad boy?
Indeed, it was really, really powerful, very, very powerful. Well, moving on to other news, Lynn also attended the press conference, was it? For BMW's range of efficient dynamics diesel engines. Let's have a look.
BMW launches the new line of diesel engine in Malaysia. Here are a few words by Darren Chin from BMW Malaysia to better explain efficient dynamics.
Well, efficient dynamics is basically as literal as the words mean. Our commitment, BMW's commitment to you, to bring you cars that are not only efficient, but cars that are dynamic at the same time. It is a worldwide strategy and it consists of many different technological measures to bring you efficient and yet dynamic cars. Well, first of all, BMW Advanced Diesel is only one pillar of efficient dynamics technologies. We have several other technologies involved. But as far as diesel compared to petrol is concerned, diesel cars emit less carbon dioxide emissions than petrol cars. They have more horsepower, more torque, of course. That's something consumers should look into, not just looking at horsepower figures, but also the torque numbers. And most importantly, it consumes far less fuel than petrol engines. Traditionally, diesel engines, because of the turbocharging and the intercoolers involved, are more expensive than petrol engines. But we at BMW Malaysia are trying to bring in diesel cars at about the same price range as petrol engines, so giving consumers a choice on whether to pick a petrol or a diesel engine. Diesel is the way that all consumers in Europe are heading to nowadays. 50% of all cars, new cars sold in Europe now are diesel. So we believe that we want to take this first step forward by introducing diesel to Malaysia.
Well, that's all for the BMW Efficient Dynamics press conference, and BMW definitely took a huge leap in giving drivers a better, much more eco-friendly driving experience. And how would it fare in this Malaysian market? We just have to wait to find out. See you back in the studio.